Hello everybody, hope y'all are doing good out there. In this video we are going to be doing a quick look at some of Case's jig patterns. Case has all kinds of different jig patterns that they will do on their knives. Put most simply, the jigging is this texturing that is put into the bone here. Now, there are different ways of doing this texturing and different styles of texturing. And then after they do that, they can dye the bone, and the way they dye it, or burn it even, can really give a different look. So I'm going to go over a few of the different styles in this video. There are many more out there than what I have here, and a lot of them are really unique, and some of them Case does not use all the time, but we are going to cover the most popular in this video, and a few that maybe aren't quite as popular. Right off the bat, I think the most popular that you're going to find is going to be this style of jigging. Now this is called amber bone peach seed jig. Now the amber bone is the color, but the peach seed jig is the texturing here. Now if you'll notice here, it's more or less shaped like the inside of a peach pit. And the thing that makes this key is you've got these little grooves down in the texturing itself. Now this jigging is good because it gives you a little bit of traction when you're holding the knife. And that's one thing that can be beneficial. And it feels good in the hand. And as you carry it, it will wear down and smooth out a little bit. But besides having a good texture to it and looking good, it really pairs well with the amber bone style of a knife. Now, they use this jigging with other color handles too, but the amber bone's probably going to be the most popular. So that right there is the peach seed jig. The next one we're going to look at is probably the next most popular, and that is what this little red bone peanut has. And this kind of jigging is known as corncob jig, but this one is a little unique, and I'll talk about that in a minute. Now this is called a corncob jig, but this is a pocket worn corncob jig, and Case makes a lot of these red worn bone pocket worn knives, and they're just beautiful. They're one of my favorites for sure. But if you'll notice here, you do not have the grooves down inside of the bone. It's more smooth, and it runs, they run parallel to each other. These little divots do, so it kind of resembles a corn cob. To illustrate that on a slightly larger knife, we may look at this trapper right here. Again, you'll notice there are no grooves in this jigging, and this jigging is smooth little divots all the way through the handle, and it kind of looks like a corn cob. You know, imagine this was yellow. I mean, it kind of looks like a corn cob. So that's why it's called corn cob jig. And both of these knives are in this same handle material. Where this gets interesting is this is what's known as a pocket worn, where they have taken it, and after they've put it together, they've sanded it down a little bit. That's going to be the most common kind of corncob jig to find, from my experience. But this right here is an example of a corncob jig that isn't pocket worn, so it hasn't been sanded down as much. And you can kind of see how it kind of looks like a corn cob. Now this is just a beautiful jigging, at least it is in my opinion. To take a natural material like that, dye it like they have, burn it and buff it. Isn't it beautiful? Now this right here might be my favorite kind of jigging. I like the pocket worn version, and I like the regular version, but it's a lot more smooth, a lot smoother than the peach seed jig, yet it still gives a good texture, and I think it's really pretty the way they do it. But that right there is a corncob jig. The next one we're going to look at is one of Case's smooth bones. This doesn't have any kind of jig at all, but you'll notice you can see the natural divots and textures in the bone. This one to me almost looks like wood. This is a beautiful knife. This is one of their smooth chestnut bone knives, and it's going to usually be just a speck thinner since there isn't any jigging, and it's going to be smooth. all along the top of it. Case doesn't make as many smooth bone knives, I don't believe, as jig knives. The next kind here is the kind of jigging that you're going to find a lot on the blue knives from Case. And this is called, it's a corncob jig, but it's called Rogers corncob jig. And this is another texture that I really like. If you'll notice there, you can see it looks similar to a corncob, but it's almost like it's been compressed a little bit. You know, the divots are not as wide. They're a little more narrow, and that's basically the difference. And this gives a little more texture in the hand than the regular corncob jig does. And especially with this blue handle, I really like this jigging. It's just beautiful. Now, Case has been making this jigging for a long time, and it's not hard to find these. But this is called Rogers corncob jig, and you can find that in other colors besides blue. The next one we have is what Case calls their 6.5 bone stag. Now, these have an irregular jig. What I mean by that is it's not uniform like these jiggings are. These are all done unique and different. And so side by side and side will vary from each other, and knife to knife will vary from each other. More or less, they just put some grooves, some divots, some dots, some lines, try to make it look similar to actual stag. This one right here is a mini swell center, and it's a beautiful knife. But that right there is Case's 6.5 bone stag. And it's for the most part going to have jigging only in the middle and not on the edges. Next we have is this Crannle jig. This is called the Crannle jig. This is the sky blue. Now, this is a very interesting jigging, and I like it and don't like it. It is by far the most textured out of these that we've looked at today, and you get the most grip with it. It grabs onto your hand the most, but the consequence of that is it also grabs onto any kind of grime. So occasionally you have to clean this jigging out. You'll notice it looks very similar to the Rogers corncob jig. The main difference being that the jigging is deeper and more pronounced. And it's more or less grooves that have a slight zigzag pattern to them as they go throughout the length of the handle. It does have some grooves and divots down into the bottom, similar to how the amber bone knife did over here with the peach seed jig. And so the Crannle jig is a good jigging, but it's not my favorite jigging, just because it's harder to keep clean. But it gives you a really good feel in the hand, and it gives you a little more texture than some of the other. Now this one right here is another one you don't see from Case that often. This is their Jade Kinfolk jig, and they call this their Kinfolk jig. And you can see that this is a very, very interesting pattern. It's more or less just a few grooves that are carved out of the handle, and the grooves have a slight wiggle to them. That's the only way I know how to describe it. I really like it. I wish they made more knives like this, because this, in my opinion, is a beautiful, beautiful knife. Feels good in the hand, and it's nice. I wish they'd make some more with this Kinfolk jig. They do from time to time, but it's not one of their big jigs that they use all the time. But this right here is called a Kinfolk jig. Now these are the main jiggings that I have on the bone. There are more out there. These are just the ones I have present with me at this time. And any of these might be turned into a pocket warren. I believe that the gray pocket warren is the Crannle jig that they then sand down. Of course, the red pocket warren is the corncob jig that they sand down. And the old Bermuda green pocket warren, which I'm not sure you can still buy. This is one of them. It's a pocket warren peach seed jig, if you notice. So any of these you can usually find at one time or another. Case has made them in a pocket warren. But these are the main bone ones I have. Comment down below what's your favorite jigging, or what is a unique jigging you have on a knife. Now I thought I would also include two synthetic knives that Case jigs. One of them is going to be the Case's classic brown synthetic. They've sold a lot of these over the years. It's a good working handle because it's tough. I don't know what this jigging is called. If you all know what this jigging is called specifically, let me know. It looks similar to a corncob jig, but it is not quite identical. If you all know what the jigging is on their brown synthetic working knives, let me know. And then the last one here, this synthetic, is known as their gum fuddy knives. Back in the 1940s, Case produced some knives with a unique material because of it was hard to get bone in the war. So they used some of this plastic they come up with, and it got nicknamed gum fuddy. Case called it their rough black. Nevertheless, these knives harken back to that day, and it's made out of a synthetic here. But back in the 40s and today, they had this unique, irregular jigging on them. And it's got worm grooves, is usually what they call that, going through it. And you can get these with some different knives from Case. You can find a white one with an American flag badge, a blue one, and a red one with an American flag badge here lately, which is pretty neat. But this right here is the original. And so that would be the gum fuddy knife. So y'all comment down below what's your favorite jigging and what's some unique jigs that you've seen. Y'all have a good day and keep your knives sharp. Thank you for watching.